I know you.
T.I.'s son, King Harris, ain't holding back as he tears into his dad from prison. There's no love lost between him and his old man, and now he's threatening to expose T.I.'s secrets to the whole world. Things are heating up, so let's get right into it. When generational beef gets real. Yo, check it. When you talk about hip-hop royalty and family drama, ain't too many stories hit harder than what's been going down with T.I. and his young bull King Harris. This ain't just some regular father-son static, nah fam. This is straight-up generational warfare that's been brewing in the trenches for years, and it's finally reached a boiling point that got one of the realest OGs in the game completely shook. See, to really understand how deep this beef runs, we gotta go all the way back to the beginning, to when this whole saga started unfolding. King Harris, born Clifford Joseph Harris III in 2004, came into this world with more advantages than most cats could ever dream about. Straight up, his pops T.I. was already established as the undisputed king of the South, holding it down for over 2 decades with Grammy wins and a whole empire that could set his bloodline up for generations. But yo, sometimes the very privileges meant to protect your seed can become the exact thing that drives them to act out the most. From jump, T.I. made some moves that would later become major friction points between him and his young king. Instead of letting King grow up soft in mansion life, T.I. shipped his son to live with grandma in a more hood environment, trying to instill those same gritty values that carried him from the projects to penthouse living. It was real father moves, no cap. But King would later challenge this whole narrative in the most public way possible. The first signs that shit was about to get spicy started popping off when King was still a shorty. Back in May 2021, a clip went viral showing 17-year-old King handling some static, giving the whole world a taste of that aggressive energy that would later define most of his public moves. That moment should have been a red flag. Real talk, a preview of all the drama that was cooking behind closed doors in the Harris household. But yo, the real explosion happened November 26th, 2023, during what should have been a chill family outing to catch the Falcons play. Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where T.I. was supposed to be hyping up the team, turned into the most unlikely stage for one of the most painful family beefs ever caught on camera. The whole incident got live streamed by King himself, showing a father and son going at each other's necks over some way deeper issues than anybody initially peeped.
I know you. I know you.
Ain't no mystery about
I know you though.
Man,
I know you though. I know you. What's wrong with y'all? Why y'all doing that to me? Y'all know me.
The beef centered around privilege, a word that had become fighting words in their relationship. King was steady insisting he grew up regular with grandma, pushing back against his pop's version of their family's come-up story. T.I., clearly fed up with the cap, came back with some real harsh words that would echo through the culture for months. King, have you ever woke up with a roach on your face? All right then, you don't know what you're talking about. What everybody witnessed that day wasn't just some regular argument. This was years of miscommunication, unmet expectations, and straight-up disconnect between 2 generations finally bubbling over. Tiny Harris, King's moms, tried to play peacemaker, explaining how they let King stay with grandma because he could suck a pacifier over there until he was 12 years old. He didn't do that in the house, but her words just added more fuel to an already blazing fire. The aftermath of that public blowup was swift and brutal, no chaser. King, feeling completely disrespected and misunderstood, took to the gram with some deleted stories that showed just how deep his pain was running. I stand on business, don't give a who you are 100. If I'm a mistake, say that. Stop making the world think you me when you don't 100. These weren't just the words of some rebellious young cat. These were straight up cries from someone who felt completely abandoned by the one person who was supposed to have his back no matter what. In response to all the family drama, King dropped a track called Grandma Boy on SoundCloud, dedicating it to his granny, and taking some slick shots at T.I.'s version of their family story. The bars painted a picture of a young dude who felt like his pops was using their family dynamics for clout, rewriting history to fit a narrative that didn't match up with King's real lived experience. But check it, this wasn't just about hurt feelings or typical teenage rebellion. King's struggles seemed to stem from something way deeper, that identity crisis that a lot of celebrity kids face, but most don't have to deal with under such intense public scrutiny. Young King was caught between wanting to honor his father's legacy while desperately trying to carve out his own lane, separate from the Harris family name and everything it represented in the culture. The pattern that started emerging during this period was mad concerning real talk. King began adopting what cats were calling a performative gangsta persona, posting flicks and making statements that seemed designed to prove his street cred. T.I. publicly warned about King's risky image moves, but these warnings seemed to only push his son further toward the exact behaviors T.I. was trying to prevent.
The unfortunate part is that, I'm not going to say, because he didn't say this,
But is there something about it that you kind of feel like he thinks is like cool, or it's a stripe that, you know what I mean? You know, he got a mugshot or whatever the case is. And, you know, again, I'm so like puzzled why King feels the desire, need, want to be considered a street dude that badly. Like, why is he so obsessed with the struggle, with the life of being a street dude? Like, street dudes ain't really winning.
By August 2024, T.I. revealed on Hot 107.9 that King, then 20, was about to be a father, joking that he'd raised the grandchild to torture you the way you tortured me. I promise you, there will be an indictment in this young one. It was a moment that should have brought the family closer together, but instead seemed to highlight all the ongoing tension that was tearing them apart from the inside. The complexity of their relationship became even more apparent when King chopped it up on Reginae Carter's Airtime podcast in August 2025. In what would be his realist reflection on their dynamic, King compared their relationship to Ghost and Tariq from Power. It was like he was telling Tariq, like, nah, bro, just, put the suit on. And it was like I was telling him, like, basically all that's gonna come, but I'm young, bro. You gotta give me time to change, bro. This comparison was way more revealing than King probably realized. In Power, Ghost represents that father figure trying to pull his son away from street life toward legitimate success, while Tariq embodies that young cat who feels like he needs to prove himself through increasingly dangerous choices. The parallel was almost scary prophetic of what was about to unfold in the Harris family drama.
I just don't understand. The thing that insulted me that much is that I know Tiny and I know T.I., and they work very hard for their families.
Yeah.
And the fact that the one thing that is a punt to the gut of mothers and fathers who work hard for their family members is when a child doesn't appreciate or denigrates what they did.
Early 2025 had shown some promise for reconciliation, with reports suggesting that T.I. and King had found some common ground, especially after King became a father himself. Social media posts showed some playful back and forth between them, and there seemed to be real hope that they had moved past their most volatile period. But as the culture would soon learn, that calm was just the eye of an approaching storm that would test every bond the Harris family had ever built. The streets were watching, the suburbs were talking, and the whole hip-hop community was about to witness one of the most devastating family breakdowns in recent memory. What started as generational differences and privilege debates was about to escalate into something that would shake the very foundations of one of rap's most respected families. Legal troubles. Just when it looked like the Harris family might have found their way back to each other, everything went left in the most devastating way possible. The events of September 2025 wouldn't just shatter any hopes of father-son reconciliation. They would expose just how fractured this family had really become and show the whole culture what happens when street dreams collide with suburban realities. King's legal troubles started building up from what seemed like regular hood mishaps. Back in August 2022, when he was 18, King got jammed up in Pickens County, Georgia, caught speeding while driving on a suspended license and hit with a DUI drugs charge. Now, these weren't no violent crimes or the serious felonies that some blogs would later try to spin, but they represented a pattern that was about to have major consequences. The real problem? King failed to show up for his court date, setting off a chain reaction that would eventually crash out his whole world. The bench warrant that got issued in September 2024 should have been a major wake-up call, but it stayed unserved for months while King continued trying to build his music career and figure out his new role as a father. But you know how the streets work. That paper was hanging over his head like a sword, just waiting for the right moment to drop. That moment came September 3rd, 2025, in Dunwoody, Georgia. The arrest footage, which wouldn't surface until later, showed King being cooperative as he got taken into custody after officers discovered the outstanding warrant during a routine traffic stop.
Place your hands behind your back for me. All right now you're just being detained. You're not under arrest. We're gonna be at the church. All right, I appreciate you being cool, man. We're just gonna take a look at this information, make sure it's valid.
He'd been pushing a BMW with 2 passengers when he failed to yield entering a roadway, nearly causing a collision. When the boys rolled up, they caught a whiff of that loud and spotted a Glock. 19 on King's hip, legally carried, but enough to prompt a deeper investigation that revealed the warrant. He was arrested and charged. But the worst was still coming. Reports started circulating between September 16th, 18 that King had been brutally attacked behind bars, allegedly jumped by other inmates after surveillance cameras mysteriously went down. The attack reportedly left King with facial fractures and internal injuries, requiring urgent medical attention. For T.I., this news was absolutely devastating. The speculation about why King got targeted painted a disturbing picture of how his privileged background and attempts to project that gangsta image had made him a marked man among inmates who saw him as everything they hated about wealth and celebrity. The very persona King had been cultivating to gain street credibility had instead painted a target on his back in the most dangerous environment possible. The professional ramifications hit immediately and hard. T.I.'s planned October Atlanta Youth Summit lost corporate sponsors, with Adidas and Sprite citing family instability risks as reasons for pulling out. The irony wasn't lost on nobody. The same cat who had dedicated major resources to youth mentorship was now getting abandoned by corporate partners because of his own son's troubles. But perhaps the most painful part were the reports that King might have leaked threats about T.Y.'s estate. While these reports stayed unconfirmed, they represented the complete breakdown of trust between father and son, suggesting their relationship had deteriorated to the point where financial retaliation had become a weapon in their ongoing war. T.I. ain't the only rapper to have a child give him serious issues like this, though. Remy Ma faced her most devastating family crisis when her 23-year-old son, Jason Scott, was arrested on June 17, 2024, for first-degree murder in a fatal Washington Heights shooting. Scott, already on probation for a 2021 gun possession conviction, allegedly fired the fatal shot that killed 43-year-old Darius Gileb outside a barbershop on April 4, 2024. Prosecutors tied him to the scene via surveillance footage and ballistic evidence, charging him with second-degree murder, 2 counts of criminal possession of a weapon, and reckless endangerment. Bail was set at $500,000, which Remy posted via bondsman. As of September 2025, trial is set for November, with Scott under house arrest. Future has also had his fair share of kid issues. His eldest son, Jacoby, was thrust into legal turmoil during a January 2020 DeKalb County gang sweep. At 17, Jacoby was arrested alongside 20 alleged Gangster Disciples members charged with criminal gang participation, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, criminal trespass, and giving false info to police. The operation targeted MDK, murder, death, kill sets, with Jacoby's involvement tied to social media posts flaunting weapons. Tried as an adult, he faced up to 20 years. Future bailed him out for $100,000 in March 2020. The gun charge was dropped in a plea deal, but Jacoby pleaded guilty to lesser counts, receiving 2 years probation and 200 hours community service by late 2020. Marion Shuge Knight's 28-year-old son, Shuge Jacob, was also arrested in January 2015 for the murder of Terry Carter outside a Compton Tams Burgers lot during a filming scuffle for Straight Outta Compton. Jacob allegedly ran over Carter with his truck after punching him, killing the 51-year-old activist on site. Charged with murder and attempted murder, Jacob invoked self-defense, claiming Carter attacked first. Jacob pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter in 2018, sentenced to 10 years with credit for time served, released on parole in 2022. These sagas reveal recurring themes: proximity to gang culture, substance entanglements, an issue that King Harris seems to also be dealing with. Can the Harris family find their way back? Even in the deepest, darkest moments of family beef, there are often glimpses of hope that suggest healing might still be possible. The Harris family's story, while marked by devastating lows that shook the whole culture, also contains threads of love, understanding, and the possibility of redemption that run deeper than any public feud or legal drama could destroy. The foundation for potential reconciliation can be traced back to King's most revealing conversation, his sit-down on Regina Carter's Airtime podcast in August 2025, just weeks before his arrest. In this interview, King showed remarkable growth and self-reflection, acknowledging both his own mistakes and his father's good intentions. His words revealed a young cat who was finally starting to understand the complexity of his relationship with T.I. I mean, so the understanding with me and my dad came with time, man, King explained during the podcast. His comparison of their dynamic to Power's Ghost and Tariq characters was particularly insightful. It was almost like Ghost and Tariq in Power, bro. It was like he was telling Tariq like, nah, bro, just, put the suit on. And it was like I was telling him like basically all that's going to come, but I'm young, bro. You got to give me time to change, bro. This analogy showed that King understood his pop's perspective in ways he hadn't before. T.I., like Ghost in the show, was trying to pull his son away from street life toward legitimate success, while King, like Tariq, felt the need to prove himself on his own terms. The key difference was that King was now acknowledging that both perspectives had validity. and that time and maturity were necessary for true understanding to develop. Perhaps most significantly, King addressed one of the core issues that had been driving their public conflicts: the narrative battles over their family's wealth and upbringing. Because what I'm saying is, if you say, nah, you grew up in a big mansion, and I'd be like, bro, you know I was at my grandma's house, so why you even say this? King's frustration was evident as he explained how T.I.'s public comments made his own experiences seem less credible. But rather than approaching this with anger, King showed empathy for his father's position while maintaining the validity of his own experience. The transformative power of fatherhood in King's life can't be understated. Having become a father himself in January 2025, King found himself in a position where he could understand T.Y.'s perspective from a completely different angle. Being a dad made me see his side. Tough love ain't easy to give or take, he reflected, showing a level of emotional intelligence that suggested real growth was happening. King's acknowledgement that our relationship is smooth now during the podcast interview was particularly significant. He expressed that he had communicated his need to tell his own story without being contradicted, and it appeared that T.I. had heard and respected this boundary. The fact that their relationship had stabilized before the September crisis suggests that the foundation for rebuilding still exists, even after everything that has transpired. T.I.'s own evolution during this period has been equally important. His March 2025 acknowledgement of taking accountability and recognizing their shared tenacity showed a father who was willing to examine his own role in their conflicts. The playful banter that appeared on social media during this period suggested that both father and son were finding ways to connect that didn't involve the intense pressure of public expectations. The professional and legal realities, however, remain significant obstacles to overcome. King's release from jail around September 20th, 2025, while providing immediate relief, doesn't resolve the underlying issues that led to his incarceration. His conditional probation means that any future slip-ups could result in more severe consequences, adding pressure to an already delicate family dynamic.
And another thing, I'm a free man. Stop, goddamn, I'm not locked up. I'm straight.
The path forward requires both T.I. and King to confront some uncomfortable truths about their relationship and themselves. For T.I., this means accepting that his tough love approach, while well-intentioned, may have contributed to pushing King toward the very behaviors he was trying to prevent. His admission that I pushed him too hard to be like me, and now look, my boy is paying for my ghosts, suggests he's beginning to understand this dynamic. For King, reconciliation requires acknowledging that his attempts to prove his street credibility were not only dangerous, but also disrespectful to the sacrifices his parents made to give him better opportunities. His earlier statement during the Falcons incident, I stand on business, don't give a FK who you are 100, needs to be balanced with an understanding that standing on business sometimes means accepting help and guidance from those who love you. The role of Tiny Harris in any potential reconciliation can't be ignored. While she filed for divorce in September 2025, citing T.I.'s handling of the King situation, her actions might also represent an attempt to force her family to confront their issues rather than simply abandon them. Tiny has always been portrayed as the peacemaker in family conflicts, and her willingness to take such drastic action might be what's needed to wake everyone up to how serious their situation had become. The broader hip-hop community's response to the Harris family saga has been mixed, but not entirely unsympathetic. Comments from observers like those on social media suggest that many people understand the unique pressures faced by celebrity children. The comparison to other rappers' children who have faced legal troubles shows that the Harris family isn't alone in struggling with these dynamics. Looking toward the future, several factors suggest that reconciliation is not only possible, but likely. First, both T.I. and King have demonstrated the capacity for growth and self-reflection. Second, King's role as a father himself creates a bridge of understanding that didn't exist during their earlier conflicts. Third, the family has weathered public storms before and found ways to come together. T.I.'s subdued Instagram post after King's release, featuring a family photo with the caption, "Healing starts home," suggests that he understands the work that needs to be done. The emphasis on home and healing indicates a shift away from public performances toward private family work. The challenges ahead are significant. With mediation for the divorce proceedings scheduled for October, the family will need to navigate not only their father-son relationship, but also the potential dissolution of the marriage that has been central to their family structure. However, these formal processes might also provide the structured environment needed for honest communication. The entertainment industry and fan base will likely play a role in the family's healing process. While T.I.'s memoir, Trouble Man: The Next Chapter, was delayed from summer 2025. 2025. Its eventual release could provide an opportunity for him to share his perspective on these events in a more thoughtful, reflective way than social media allows. Ultimately, the question isn't just whether T.I. and King will make up, it's whether they can build a relationship that's stronger and more authentic than what existed before. The observation from social media users like at Official Rules that Time to Rebuild publicly captures both the challenge and the opportunity before them. The Harris family's story serves as a cautionary tale about the pressures of fame, the dangers of public family conflicts, and the complex dynamics between parents and children in the spotlight. But it's also a story about the resilience of family bonds, the power of personal growth, and the possibility that even the most broken relationships can find a path toward healing. Whether T.I. and King Harris will ultimately reconcile remains to be seen, but their journey offers valuable lessons for any family struggling to balance love, expectations, and the challenge of allowing each generation to find its own way forward. The streets are still watching, the culture is still talking, but maybe, just maybe, they're about to witness something beautiful. A father and son finding their way back to each other, stronger than before. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to watch another fascinating video like this, click on one of the boxes on your screen right now.